Aloha everybody, welcome to the Hawaiiverse podcast, a podcast that supports local by lifting our Toyota Tacomas and reverse parking into every stall. I'm your host Kamaka Diaz, and I am so stoked for episode 8. Not just because 8 is my favorite number, but because just like our guest today, I love to boogie. Okay, that was my terrible dad joke for the day, you're welcome. So let's get into it. Today's guest is a professional bodyboarder from the island of Kaua'i. He is a 3-time IBA world champion, 4-time IBA Pipeline champion, 11-time United States national title holder, and is one of the few bodyboarders to ever land an aerial 720. He is also a husband, father of one, and business owner. He is the man with the insane airs. He is Jeff Hubbard. Aloha, Jeff. Welcome to the podcast. How you doing?
Thanks so much, Kamaka. Stoked. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And again, mahalo for driving all the way from the west side to come over here. I know it's a pretty far drive.
Hey, it's not too bad when there's no traffic. You just got to worry about going westbound at 4 o'clock. Don't do that.
Don't do that, yeah. So this is actually a special episode because I don't know if anybody noticed. The last 5 guests, their first name started with a K, so you're breaking the streak of that.
Whoa.
In a good way, because I don't want people to think I'm discriminating against the other letters of the alphabet. So thank you to your parents for naming you Jeff. Starts with a J.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, good to A, B, C, D, J, K. Yeah, somewhere around there. We're on the right vicinity, though. We're close.
Yeah. So I'm super interested in getting to know your story because I know you as the bodyboarder, the professional bodyboarder. I'm sure we all do. We've seen videos of you just throwing out some crazy stuff. I don't even know how you land some of that stuff, but I'm interested in learning about where you grew up, how you got into bodyboarding, because I know you said you used to wrestle, right? And you're pretty good at it. You even got second place in the BIIF tournament, right?
Yeah, that's right. I grew up on Kaua'i, so we'd always go down to Kaua'i beach right there in Nauwili, and just that was kind of our little stomping ground there. So we just bodyboard and surf and just hang out and play at the beach and run and do all kinds of fun stuff as kids. And with bodyboarding, it's really like kind of like with anything you do when you're younger, it's real peer based. So like if your friends are doing it, you do it, and it's more fun that way. So like if your friends are into it, you're kind of into it. And that's how I got into bodyboarding. My friends were all into it, and so I was doing it with them. And it's just such a fun thing when you have something to do in common with your close friends. So I just kind of kept doing that with and just taking it to each kind of next level. As I grew up, I started bodyboarding, just learning how to do it at Kaua'i, and then eventually I started entering a few contests. When I came to Oahu for college, I started doing the amateur contest series here, and then from there I started doing more of the getting into the professional contest scene, and then turned professional. So it's kind of like a little ways long. I took the long route because I was doing it kind of when I was going to college at UH, and then after a while I just started. I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a break from college for a little bit and just pursue bodyboarding, and just did that full time as a professional, and it kind of led me down the path where I am today. Yeah. It was pretty awesome.
Very accomplished path, if I might add.
Oh, thanks. And I did get to come back to my studies, and I went to HPU and got my master's in business.
Oh, right.
So that was in international business. So that's kind of really helped me run the company. Giving me a nice platform to really take my company Hubboards that my brother and I started. We sell bodyboards and fins and all the sorts of wonderful bodyboard things to where it is today. We've been in business since 2013, so almost, 8-9 years already, 8 years. So it's pretty awesome.
Super awesome, and we'll definitely talk about that later on. But I want to know something kind of random, but to me it has a correlation. So because you said you wrestled, did that have any effect on your bodyboarding because you're in prone positions a lot, like you roll around a lot? Does that have anything to do with it? For
sure. I think the wrestling, just because it's a sport that you're doing by yourself, I think that's has a direct correlation with the sport of bodyboarding, because you're doing it by yourself, and so you only can rely on yourself in those situations. So you really get more self-reliant, and you train yourself like, hey, if you're not putting in the work, wrestling's a real work ethic sport, so you really get a good work ethic for how to like train and practice. So that was pretty important. And wrestling also has a big foundation in flexibility and strength to weight ratio, I would say. So because of those things that have really helps with bodyboarding, because those are also very very directly correlated, strength to weight ratio and flexibility when you're doing the sport of bodyboarding, especially with kind of the more the acrobatic moves that I'm known for, and I like to do, flying around in the air and doing big moves, which I've always kind of gravitated towards.
Getting slammed. Yeah,
getting slammed. Yeah, when you're getting tossed around and under the water by big waves, it's nice to be real nimble and not being able to control yourself and be calm. You have to do that when you're wrestling as well. So that it definitely did prepare me for sure.
Cool. Yeah, something I was just wondering about when you told me that. Yeah. So did you grow up with bodyboarding with your brother and then some other friends and other surfers on Kaua'i? Because I know the Irons brothers, right? Bruce and Andy, they're from Kaua'i, right?
Yes, they were. They're from the North Shore, and so I grew up in Lihui near Kalapaki. So we kind of we'd see them and surf with them in the contests and stuff. They were doing the amateur contest at the same time I was with my brothers. So we're all friends, and most of all the pro surfers on Kaua'i, and it's such a tight community on Kaua'i. We all kind of know each other, and everyone gets along really well. So everyone has a lot of respect for each other. So it's a great, nice little surf community over there. I think one of the reasons why there's probably so many great surfers is there is because everyone gets along, and there's a lot of waves to go around. It's not as crowded, and everyone kind of learns to share. So it's really cool.
I thought it was pretty cool how you and Dave kind of came into the scene at the same time as Bruce and Andy, and you guys both were these power duos in bodyboarding and surfing, stand-up surfing. So that's something super cool that I think maybe not everybody really thought about at that time. These four siblings were the future of the water sports, right?
That's a pretty interesting,
Did you think about that when you were growing up there?
To a certain extent, I guess you think about it. And my middle brother Mike surfed a lot with Bruce and Andy. He was a surfer, and so my brother competed with them throughout all the amateur competitions that Bruce and Andy had. So it was really cool that we always got to hang out and watch each other grow up. I remember when I was older than Bruce. I was about the same, little older than Andy. So I'd watched Bruce kind of grow up, and remember seeing him as just a young kid, just charging and just being so little and just being just so outstanding. So it was really, really cool to see the evolution of every one of the riders from Kaua'i and every one of the pros. It's pretty special. Yeah.
So how's the camaraderie between competitors in the bodyboarding world? Is it pretty friendly? Is it pretty aggressive? Do people want to take people out? How is it?
Well, I think with any competition, everyone wants to win. But I think because it's such a small, it's kind of just more of a small family vibe, and there's not so many guys. It can be competitive at that highest level in the contest. But I think everyone outside of it is really friendly and has really good respect levels for each other, and because you're out there having fun and just enjoying yourself in the ocean, right? So it's really nice when you can have a good time while you're doing it. And so if you're all eggy and all super angry all the time, it probably doesn't really help it, So, but if you're coming at it from a real positive place, you can still have a healthy competition vibe with your competitors in the water and make it really fun, and it makes it challenging for sure.
Yeah. Well, so I just met you, but I already can tell by your energy and how you are. You seem like a very nice guy. I can't see you ever getting angry and just going off on other competitors.
Yeah,
but
no.
I'm sure there's times where you're just super in the zone, and especially in those huge tournaments, right? You're a 3-time IBA world champ.
Yeah. So when you're in kind of that zone or in the contest mode, you're just in the heat of the moment. So it's all you can control is what you're doing on each wave, right? There's very few things you can control outside of that, besides what waves to catch and what waves and what you do on those waves. So it's when you get those waves, you're just kind of just so excited. That's where you can use all your energy and enthusiasm is on those waves and really take it out on the waves, right? So that's where you can kind of get just go crazy. And so like just explosive and just kind of let it all out there. So it's a great outlet. It's
definitely
cool. It's a healthy outlet for sure.
Definitely. So, okay, I have a question that I want to know. Boogie boarding, surfing, bodyboarding, sponging, what is it?
Oh, it's all bodyboarding, boogie boarding. It doesn't really matter.
You say?
I say both. Like half the time I'm like, yeah, let's go boogie, let's go boogie boarding, let's go bodyboarding, it's bodyboarding. So it's kind of just flows freely. There's no right or wrong answer. No, because it's all about fun. So if you just want to have fun out there, it doesn't matter if you're how you label how you're having fun or what you're riding. Boogie always sounds like more fun to me because it's just more has like this connotation of let's go boogie. It does sound a lot more fun. Yeah. So like I'd rather go let's go boogie. Yeah. So that's kind of where we at. I'd prefer boogie, but bodyboard also a lot of people don't understand boogie, but if they'll also say like boogie board, they can understand. They know what a boogie board is more than a bodyboard. So it's like it's so interesting. It's like some people would rather like bodyboarding, and some people don't understand it, but they like understand boogie boarding more. So I do notice that sometimes when I speak to people, especially people not from here, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like checking in the border or at the airlines is always like, it's a boogie board. It's a boogie board. Oh, okay, they understand that. It's a bodyboard. Yeah. What? Yeah. So how did you kind of find your own style and like, because every bodyboarder, they have their own style, their own strengths, right? And yours is doing these big airs and like gnarly, like hitting like gnarly ramps. Yeah. And so were you just always into like that kind of adrenaline rush, or like how did you come into your own style? I think I came into trying to do that is because it kind of got me noticed. It was real easy to get noticed by doing airs by everyone in the water. Like it was more like, the people were, you do an air or something kind of crazy. Like, wow, that was cool. People who were watching in the water were always inspired and got excited about it. So like, if you're kind of exciting people and making them stoked, you're like, I should keep doing that. Like, and so I kind of took that path as like, okay, I'm going to start doing this. And as I got better for it and more known for it, you just kind of like play on your strengths and just kind of really hone in on it. So I always, it was something, and I enjoyed doing it too. Like it made me happy. It gave me, fulfilled me. So like I just kind of kept with it. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely different than watching surfers, like stand-up surfers, right? Because you have these like things that you can do that you just can't do while surfing. And it's insane. Like the thing that I want to know is, do you think bodyboarding doesn't get as much, or why do you think bodyboarding doesn't get as much exposure as surfing? And the things you guys are doing is just as incredible. Oh, thanks. Yeah, we love doing what we're doing and just kind of going big and doing, charging crazy waves and doing crazy airs, and it's, on bigger sections. That's kind of like something that, you're right, surfing, they're not able to do huge airs on huge sections. They do massive airs on small waves, and it looks incredible, right? And they charge huge waves, but bodyboarding, doing some big moves on bigger waves is pretty special. And that's, you're right, it does make it more separated from that in that aspect. But I think as far as like maybe the way it does, it's not as popular. I guess it's definitely not a mainstream sport, and and it's kind of become like this niche sport that's just like really hardcore. So it's just kind of this hardcore community, and I think that's okay with everyone who bodyboards. I don't think anyone's out there trying to look for it anymore to like try and make bodyboarding bigger than it is. I think everyone's just pretty happy that it's this hardcore vibe, and it's like this special community, and makes it so cool. It makes it just totally different than surfing, which is really mainstream these days, and you see it everywhere, and that's it's okay. It's bodyboarding's found its place. I think for a while it was looking for an identity, and it's kind of found it. And I think it's in a good place. It's just what it is. It's not. We're never going to be this mainstream sport like surfing. We're going to be this hardcore little niche community that just always in it for the stoke, right? They're in it for the fun, the stoke, and the good vibes. They're not in it for the money at all. It's just in it for like this certain feeling and camaraderie, and just I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I'm sure everyone could kind of understand, draw some parallels there. Yeah, definitely. And I love how you put that. And I think it's just like you're doing what you love from when you were a child, right? Right. So it's like
to be able to doing that at a professional level or just like as a hobby,
right?
How can you not be stoked on that, right?
Right, just to go jump in the water. It's because you're in the water and you're active on a bodyboard. You get you're using all your muscles, paddling around. It's really healthy way to get exercise and get out in nature. And so it's nowadays more than ever, it's like the perfect escape, I think, from what everyone's day-to-day reality is. Everyone's working really hard. Everyone's doing caught up in whatever it is they're doing. But like when you get into the water, it's just a nice refreshing break from everything. And especially with bodyboarding, it's just because there's no expectations, right? Like you're out there on a bodyboard. No one's it's a pretty cool thing to be when you're out there. There's no expectations on what you're supposed to be doing or what's cool or what's not cool, right? Like surfing's like this cool, like hip image kind of thing to do. So if you're not doing the right thing, you kind of can get looked down on. But bodyboarding, it's just so niche. There's it's already at this base level where no one even cares what you're doing. You're out there doing it and no one cares what you're doing.
That's such a good perspective because I totally resonate with that because I grew up on the Big Island, so we didn't really stand-up surf much, but my friends were all bodyboarders. But so I didn't really bodyboard. I would always take pictures of them on the side. But every time I'd go once in a while, and it's fun because even if you just hang on the board and you go straight, it's still such a good time. But then as I got older, I got into surfing, like on a longboard. But there's so much shame that comes from that, and you feel really self-conscious because you said it's like hip. You want to look cool because you want to walk to the nose. You want to do these turns, and like when you can't do that and you see other people doing it, you get so self-conscious and like it discourages me to want to keep going.
Exactly. That's what's so cool. I think having this bodyboarding's having just such a big resurgence lately because I think it's found its place. Everyone realizes, we don't care. You're just going out there and having fun. There's no no image associated with it at all.
No expectations.
No expectations, which is really refreshing. I think that's one thing that the pandemic did, really help get people back out there. People weren't working for a while, so everyone was getting back out there and doing what they loved. Like, oh, I liked bodyboarding. I have some time. I'll go do it. And now that they got a taste of doing it again, there's a lot more people out there. When they have that free time, even though everyone's working again, they have that little free time. They'll go take their kids out and they'll have this fun experience just on the board. And they come in stoked, because there's no expectations. It wasn't like they're going out there and they needed to do, a certain thing or look a certain way or do anything. They just wanted to be in the water and catch a couple waves and get exercise and be in that moment away from society. And it's something that, bodyboarding offers, which is so cool.
I love that. Is there any animosity between bodyboarders and surfers in the water, like at the same spot? Do you ever notice that?
I don't think so these days. I know there's...
It's pretty territorial. Surfing's a very territorial sport.
Exactly. Surfing is very territorial, and nowadays it's gotten a little less because there's so many people in the water, accessing, it on surfboards. Because of that, bodyboarding's kind of found it's bodyboarding used to probably be more blamed. Oh, these guys, these spongers. But nowadays it's like there's so many more surfers out there than bodyboarders, and so it's definitely it's one of those things that no one even bats an eye on the bodyboarders. And the funny thing is, most of the bodyboarders are all local brothers, so no one's like no one gets upset. Like if anything, the bodyboarders are getting upset at all the the guys who are surfing mostly, right? If there's any reason to be upset, it's the local brothers, getting upset at all the people coming in on their surfboards from California or wherever they're moving into Hawaii because of the territorialism, right? So you see that aspect more often than not.
Yeah, very interesting. So what do you think about the current state of bodyboarding right now? Because it's a pretty new sport compared to surfing. I mean, unless you want to go all the way back to like the 1778 when Captain Cook first discovered like people on the waves, or using the Alaya wood boards, whatever it was.
Yeah, they have the Pipo and Alaya boards. I mean, like some of the first surfing photos, I think the guys, maybe the first surfing photo they know exists is from Niihau. Forget who took it, but it's the guys aren't even standing up. There's someone on their knees, someone on their belly, someone like maybe even riding backwards. But they weren't standing up. There's the first surfing photo of riding waves was, people that weren't even in a standing position. So it's pretty interesting when you think of it that way. So I mean, as far as Right, wave riding, I'd say it's obviously just as old of an art form, but I'd say as far as a competitive, sport, it's definitely in a much different place than surfing is. If you're comparing things, because the surfing has this, so much money and athleticism behind it, so that there's coaches and this and there's that, and there's a whole spectrum of things going on with the surfing world. In as far as like a competitive space, but whereas bodyboarding, it's the competitions that kind of exist are ones that most of the bodyboarders are putting on. It's pretty mellow. It's just a fun vibe. Like I put on a kids contest in Waimanalo that I've been doing for like 13 years, called Hub's Keiki Fest. It's like a free contest for the kids, and it's like for like 15 and under, and it's just the family excited atmosphere that is surrounding that is just so positive. It's not, the kids are out there having so much fun, and they want to win the prizes. There's tons of prizes to win, but it's just the vibe out there is just so cool. It's so different. And then we put on another contest on Kaua'i called the Garden Island GIBBC Garden Island boogie board. Yes. Anyhow, but it's such a cool event as well. We've been doing it for 3 years, the last 3 years now, and we have like pro, some pro divisions. Then we have all the way down to like the lowest, youngest amateur push-in divisions. So we have a huge spectrum of divisions. We have like over 200 people in this event, and it's just we use it as kind of a nurturing format where the pros are out there showing the other younger generation what to do, how to ride the waves and what they should be doing and how to, be around and act. And so and helping teach them. So it's a really great, platform that we've created. And I think it's, those kind of community events are what makes bodyboarding, so very special and just so exciting and accessible, right? I think that's because there's not so many of them, everyone treasures those events even more. If there was a surplus of those events and they're always happening, people start taking it for granted. Yeah. And so they're not as excited. And so when you have just a couple events spread out, people just get so excited, and the memories and everything's so much more cherished about that. Yeah. What's going on.
So it's like a family community vibe. It's like going to somebody's house in the backyard and just hanging out, right?
Exactly.
But you're at the beach.
Exactly. You're just at the beach. I mean, we do we have a nonprofit with some of my friends, one of my mentors, Chris Burkhardt from Kaua'i. We have a nice nonprofit that we started, and so we're trying to do more events slowly, just introduce, so it's not just more than 2 events a year. We have maybe throw in a third one maybe next year, and so we'll have, again, it's just in Hawaii, but it's just still something for the kids and just to keep everyone, acclimated and excited just to come down and be that community, because when everyone gets together and has this little community vibe, it's really special.
That is super special. Yeah, and mahalo for doing that for the kids. I love that.
Oh, no, I love it too. It's like that day just fills up your stoke meter just seeing it all happen. It's
stoke meter
wonderful.
Like that.
Yeah.
Cool. So what about for the professional bodyboarding side? Because I feel like when I was growing up, to me, it felt more prominent. Like I was talking to my friends about this because, you had a lot of videos, and you'd see it, they'd always used to watch those videos with Air Ben Player.
Yeah, No Friends. We had
No Friends, that's what
No Friends ones. Yeah, we had the No Friends ones.
And it's big internationally as well, in Australia, South Africa, Brazil. And you're actually the only person from Hawaii to win the world title in the last 2 decades, right?
Yeah, that's right. And so
congrats.
Thank you. Yeah. Right. It's I think the sport as far as a international sport, it definitely had maybe a peak in 2011 and 12. I think that was kind of the peak of the sport, where it had a huge, really great world tour, and it was, everyone was following it all around the world, and there's a lot of media and hype going on around it. A lot happening there. But I think it kind of stopped and slowed down. And then there was, we've had a world tour for a little while, and then the pandemic came, and kind of also that there hasn't been any, world tour events, like a world tour going on. So it's really interesting, that aspect about, pro bodyboarding as far as like an international realm. It's definitely there. There's definitely, Hawaii has some great talents, and we have some drop knee world champions. There's some drop knee world champions that have been definitely in the last 2 decades has been dominant force. I have Dave Hubbard, my brother. He's won. You guys 8 of those. Sammy Morantino's won like 4 drop knee world titles. So there's a lot of world titles that have been won in the drop knee space, but it's hard to say what the future holds. I mean, because you look at the parallel and like what's happened with during the pandemic, there's been more bodyboarders than ever and been less bodyboarding contests. So what's the parallel here where it's like the more you try and make it a hardcore pro sport, the less people get involved, right? Like I don't know. I'm not sure what's better for the sport is if it was just this booming thing, just like surfing with tons of money and all that kind of stuff and glamour, but
because if you do one, it kind of takes away from the other,
exactly.
Right?
So it's like right now being this niche, kind of hardcore, just family oriented, like good vibe thing. It's I don't know. It's made it more special than it's maybe ever been, right? And it's still with social media, everyone gets to see it and participate in it more than ever, right? Because everyone can add their own flavor. That you see awesome video content still coming, right? Guys are just doing we're doing as big as moves as we've ever done, but at the same time, the younger kids are getting to participate, in the social media vibe and like put in their, showcase their videos and feel more involved. So it's a pretty special place at the moment, or because of because of the social media access.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, social media can be really, really good at some things, making people feel inclusive, right? And have this family-oriented vibe of bodyboarding. It's kind of like this. You can go on social media and you can just see all you want about boogie boarding if it's kind of targeted in there, all these algorithms and all this stuff. And then it also can take you away too. So it's like, to this other place where you may not be a good self-esteem builder or something like that. So there's such a fine happy line. Medium there, a fine line of what social media's place in the world is too. Yeah. For bodyboarding, it's great if you go on there and just check out bodyboarding. You're just so stoked. You're just, oh wow, look at that, look at what they're doing. Oh, that's rad. Oh, and you see your friends on there posting their videos. You're posting your videos and you're having fun and you're communicating with your friends, seeing what they're doing. It's a really healthy vibe. So
but I think that's the struggle with just social media in general too, right? There's just so many pros and cons. I don't know what outweighs the other.
Exactly.
But I mean, it's a great medium to connect with people, to share our stories. Not like we could back in the day,
Yep.
Like for example, I was in the Peace Corps a couple years ago, but the people that used to go in like the 70s or the 80s when it first opened up, like they would just go and they would have no contact with people at all. Like that's what I thought I was gonna be when I was over there. Then I get in Madagascar and I'm just like, oh, they give us a SIM card. We can go to internet cafes and we can connect with our families. I was like, I wasn't gonna talk to people for like years or months at a time, and then I'm just like, maybe every less than a week, I'm just like, hey mom,
it's hey so guys, cool, which is great.
Yeah,
right?
And everybody's following you through social media, Instagram, all the time. So it's like you get back after how many years, and they're like, oh yeah, cool. Like how was your trip? And like they kind of already know everything you've already done, right?
Which is kind of pretty cool. Everyone has still they haven't lost touch with you, right? So that's what's cool about that. That vehicle, social media for sure.
And you kind of had both sides, right? Because early on in your your competitive years, you would travel to all these places, but you didn't have social media, right? It was all media. Like somebody following you with a camera, and then you'd post it to like maybe YouTube back in the day.
It's not even VHS tapes. Like that was in the beginning. It was like when I was a young kid, all I had was these VHS tapes of the old pros, like from Kaua'i, the Kaua'i Classic guys. I just watched this VHS tape over and over again just to learn how to bodyboard and just get excited. And that was that was the only way I could access this. That stoke when I wasn't in the water, I was watching them, right? I couldn't just pull up my phone and check it out. I had to put in this VHS tape and then do that. And then, with No Friends, we started this company called No Friends, and we went around the world,
Oh, that was you?
Of us, yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
So we went around the world, a bunch of us just filming each other and posting. We weren't posting back then. We'd put out VHS tape, and we have premieres, and we get everyone together and show a movie and sell the VHS tapes and some T-shirts and go around the world and do this for like
the
10
OG
years.
hustlers, people.
Yeah,
right
I did
here.
that for like 10 years, and it was really special. And then it turned into DVDs, and then all of a sudden, as soon as the internet kind of came up, it kind of killed that because people could copy the DVDs and put them up and post them themselves, so people weren't buying the DVDs as much, and so that kind of just kind of stopped and morphed into something else with social media, which is it's just the natural progression of things. Things will improve, and that's how they go. And so you have to find that that happy, you got to take what's happening and just bend it to the positive spectrum, I think.
Yeah, that's kind of making me think if maybe that helped with the notoriety of bodyboarding,
For sure.
like back in the day, because there wasn't social media where you can see all these other things. So it's like you said, it was very like niche and like hardcore, where it's like if you knew about it, you did it. And then because you had these DVDs, it's like going to Blockbuster, right?
Oh yeah,
It's like Blockbuster was a huge thing back in the day.
it was.
Now we have digital stuff. You can just stream things online.
Yeah.
So that's just making me think now.
Yeah,
I don't
I'd go
know.
wait I'd go rent the VHS. I'd go rent the VHS.
I remember. Yeah,
I was
my
like,
friends
they
would
have
do that.
They had these Australian videos or Tom Boyle videos at the Blockbuster and Kaua'i. I'd go down and rent them and just be all stoked and then watch them and bring them back. So it was it's really interesting. Like you said, it's kind of like almost the same now though. Like if you're doing it with your friends, you're involved with your friends in that circle, right? It just stays in that circle of what you and your peer group is doing.
Yeah.
So like at that moment, like if your whole peer group's in the bodyboard, you're just all sucked in there, even though there wasn't a social media, you're just getting these tapes, checking out the magazines, you're holding the magazines. Those things were like gold back then. And now it's just that digital piece of equipment called an iPhone or, something, you're just like checking it all out.
Everybody listening to this born in the 2000s are so confused what we're talking about right now.
VHS.
Blockbuster?
What is a blockbuster?
Oh, like those big movies, right? Blockbuster movies.
Yeah, exactly. What is this blockbuster they keep
The Marvel
mentioning?
movies? What?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so classic. So who did you look up to growing up? Because there, like we said, there wasn't much social media, so it's pretty much whoever you saw in person, right?
Yep, in person on Kaua'i, those guys, the Kaua'i Classic kind of team there, back then, this Christian bodyboarder team from Kaua'i, they, Harry Antapala, Chris Tenberg, Kyle Maligro, Chris Burkhart, Mason Brown, these guys were all people I was able to see in person and see ride. And so they're a real influence to me growing up because they were doing what I want. Like all of a sudden, these guys were I didn't know pro bodyboarding existed, and they were kind of doing it. They had made it. Like to see someone from your island doing that and making a career out of it was so special. And so it kind of gave me the idea that there was something out there, and maybe I wanted to do this, but I didn't really know how at the time. And you kind of learn how to do it, and we're like, I'll just be do some business. Maybe that'll be fun. I like business. I like bodyboarding. I'll put them together, but then you're like, I guess I'll have to learn how to go be a pro bodyboarder to start a business about it or do something. So that was it was all intertwined for me. And those guys just led a great example for me. And
That's
obviously
awesome.
in the magazines you'd see these people in magazines and videos. You'd have like Michael Eppelston from Australia, Mike Stewart from
he's
Ben
one of the
Severson. You'd
pioneers.
look at these guys and they're kind of larger than life people that you'd never thought you'd meet or see. And eventually you meet
now
them.
you're one of them.
Yeah, you meet them and see them, and they're like, wow, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Very inspirational.
Yeah, that's super cool. And all you, like the people you mentioned, and even yourself, I would include too, you guys are still the early pioneers of bodyboarding, because like the bodyboard wasn't even invented in 1971.
Yeah.
That's very recent.
It is pretty recent.
Yeah.
Right. Tom Morey invented that thing, rest in peace, Tom. He passed away, a few months ago, but he left us an amazing legacy of fun and stoke. And you think about, what he created and how much happiness that, piece of foam brought to so many people, how many smiles. It's pretty rad.
You're just giving me chicken skin thinking
right?
about it.
Just riding this soft piece of foam that
Who'd have thought?
it doesn't hurt you. So it gives you, people the easy access to the ocean and easy access to, wave riding is just such a positive thing that I think everyone, everyone around the world who's touched the water has almost seen a bodyboard, right? It's pretty special.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you, like, how do you think bodyboarding can get back to its prominence competitively, or, you know, just like with the exposure wise. But now after talking to you, I'm just like, I don't think it really needs to, right?
Yeah, I don't think it, you know, you're like prominence, it's still like it's what it is. Its vehicle is what it is now that. Is maybe what it's meant to be is just this, it's special vibe, it's special connection with each individual that does it. And there's just, you know, just a real natural, I don't know, authenticity to it now, because it's not something, you know, people definitely don't do it because it's cool, right? You're doing bodyboarding because you just enjoy being out in the water.
It's lucrative, you can make a lot of money.
Right. You're doing it because it's, you know, exciting for you, and it makes you, fulfills you in some aspect other than, you know, other than anything superficial. So it's pretty special. And I don't know if, like you said, it needs to, you know, the competitive side needs to be a certain way. I think it's just the way it is pretty special right now. And hey, I mean, who knows what would happen if someone threw, you know, $1 billion at the sport, right? And it could be something wild, and you could be, you know, so crazy. But we had, when back in the day, when, you know, maybe in it's part of its like you know, competitive prowess, or where it was like one of the most, you know, you'd think it seems so like sporty to do. I guess, you know, guys are charging, and, you know, bodyboarders are finding all these extreme crazy waves, and, you know, they've always been known for finding extreme crazy waves all around the world, these heavy slabs. And then they got to a point where they're just pushing it so hard, and the waves they're riding were just looking so wild and like so insane. Like, just no one wants to do this. They're getting hurt, like people just killing themselves almost trying to ride these, you know, crazy dry reef slabs. And it's like, I don't know if that made it appealing to the mass people. Like, who wants to, you're like, it looks, oh wow, that's wild, but then you're like, yeah, who wants to actually go do that, right? Like, I mean, in theory, when you start to break it down, like, is that something you want to do? Like, does that inspire you to go bodyboard and, you know, just jump in the water and have fun? So I don't know, right? It's all these really philosophical questions when you start thinking about it, and it's sure is exciting to look at if you can understand what those people are, you know, the challenge that they're faced with, and how they're trying to overcome these massive waves and ride this moving body of water in such a special fashion. And it's definitely the ultimate wave riding vehicle, I would say.
I think I would agree, because first of all, it's really impressive, like seeing those videos and the certain kind of waves that, you know, you're able to catch that you can't catch on any other vehicle, like you said, like these gnarly, just like double ups or whatever, just like dry reef just sucking up, like stand up surfing. You just can't do that. It's just not possible, you know. And then like the certain airs you can get, it's incredible. And I have a respect for it, because I grew up watching my friends. So I hope people listening to this who aren't really familiar with bodyboarding, just go check it out on YouTube. Check out No Friends, some classic videos, Jeff Hubbard, and these other, you know, pioneers of the sport, because it's truly incredible. And like you're gonna think, oh, that's easy, I can just lie down on a board and, you know, ride. But to be able to do what they do, and not even just like the skill it takes to hit these moves, but to land safely, like I could just kind of like go up and down, you know, just like coming down from wave, and you can cut wind so easily. Like, right? Oh yeah. Like, but to fly yourself up 20, 30, I don't even know what's the highest you've ever been, you think?
I don't know. It's pretty high. Like, if the higher I get, the definitely like, ooh, you want to make sure you're, sometimes nowadays if I go like 20 feet, I'm just like, I'm probably gonna bail. I don't need to hurt myself on this. And then sometimes, you know, you're gonna land sweet, so you're just like, okay, I'm gonna try to land this. I'll be okay.
Okay. Well, actually, on that note, because we have some Instagram questions, I usually wait a little later to do them, but one of the questions is kind of about this, so I want to jump right into it, and then we'll do a local business shout out, because every episode we do a local business shout out, and you might know this one that we're shouting out. Yeah. Okay. So IG question. So this comes from Paul Shaughnessy 199, Patrick O'Shaughnessy. He's actually Mikey O'Shaughnessy's brother, nice. One of my friends. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. He wants to know, how does he land the biggest airs on the flats and handles? I think I like handles.
Yeah, handles the flats. Well, when you're trying to land in the flats, a lot of the time you're kind of spreading your weight out on your landing, so you're not landing all in one part of your body. So you can kind of break the tension of the water with your feet, or you're hoping the lips there's some white water down there to make it a little bit of a cushion. If there's a little bit of a white water cushion, it makes it, the landing really soft. But if you're landing in the flats, like Mikey's asking about, like, it means it's flat water, and so you want to like break the tension with, kind of like a diver, a big cliff diver does, like, they throw a rock, but obviously there's no rock in boogie boarding. So you're like, put your feet down and kind of land, tail first, and then kind of spread your weight out a little bit, so it's real even, so the shock is absorbed all the way, not on one part of your body.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. It's like when those kayakers go over the waterfall, and they have to land like straight down where the white, right. I guess, I don't know if you still consider it whitewash.
Yeah.
Whitewash. And then because it kind of cushions the fall, right?
Exactly.
Interesting. Yeah. So I guess, that's the trick. Okay, and I have to show you a picture for this next one.
Okay,
right here. Okay. So C.K. Wissing is one of my good friends.
Yeah.
He wants to know, okay, look, I'll show you this picture. It's just a picture of, Jeff just getting some crazy air or whatever. It's normal everyday stuff for him. He wants to know what in the world is going through your mind when you're hitting a section like this. Mind blown emoji.
That, if you get like a big section, if you're just kind of going for it, you're just, you're so excited, and if you, I don't know. I know that photo he showed me, I got really rocked on. So I kind of know exactly.
It hurts, right?
That one I got pretty kind of some nuts whiplash, because I didn't land in it threw me so far out. I missed the cushion, and it kind of like landed right in the flats, and my legs got lifted up, so I landed in a pretty awkward position.
Like a scorpion kind of?
No, more like just a kind of whiplash with my neck.
Okay.
Because it was really high up and really, had so much speed at pipe. So when you catch a wave and you're just kind of going, you just kind of want to hit it and go as high as you can, and then as you're rotating around, if you think you're going to be in a good spot, you kind of keep going for the air, but otherwise you'd bail if you think you're going to kind of hurt yourself. So sometimes you think you're going to be, I'll be fine. I see the cushion, it's coming back, and then sometimes on that one I like just missed it. So I went through the foam was coming up to me, but it like fluffed out, so I went right through it and then landed in the flats, and I got pretty buckled. Dang. And so that was a rough one. But that was like 10 years ago, 12 years ago.
2012, I think.
2012, yeah. 10 years ago that one was.
It's so funny that you recognize that as soon as I showed it to you.
Yeah.
Wow, man. See, it's a pretty gnarly sport. If you're doing it at the highest level and you're catching these huge waves, it's so dangerous. Yeah, because even my friends, they've had a lot of injuries, like landed, like hit the reef, like busted their face open. Right?
Nowadays I'm a little more, aware of, if I'm doing something super crazy, like I'm like, hey, I just want to go bodyboard every day. I don't. There's a level of like, I'm not going to just try and kill myself on this one, because what's really the point? If I get hurt, then I can't boogie board for like 2 weeks. I like boogie boarding every day. Yeah. Like I like getting in the water and have so much fun and so healthy. So I'm just like, I'll be good on this one move, but I'll go do a bunch of the other ones. Yeah. Right. Like, so you just find your sweet spot and you kind of stick with it.
Yeah. So do you go every single day?
I don't get to go every single day. I'm pretty busy with my company Hubboards and my family, but I get to go. If I get to go like 3 to 4 times a week, pretty stoked, right? Solid, like that's kind of my target if I'm having a good week.
And do you compete still?
I do. If there's a contest in Hawaii, I'm definitely competing in it. If there's a pro event, in Hawaii, I'll try and compete in it. Hopefully we'll have another pipe contest. I'd love to win my 6th pipe championship this year. But we're looking forward to pipe at the the end of February. We'll finally have a pipe contest again after.
I gotta come watch. I've never seen a professional contest,
especially at pipe. It's really exciting.
I haven't even seen the big waves on the North Shore.
Oh, you gotta come out. I think this year will be be pretty La Nina.
When is it?
It's end of February, beginning of March.
Okay, so everybody, mark that on your calendar. Go cheer for Jeff. Right on. Okay, so this local business shout out is something that we just talked about, Hubboards, and it's your business, and you're going to be giving away something for the podcast as well. It would be giving away, well, maybe you can tell.
Right. Yeah. My business Hubboards, I don't have any boards at the moment. They're all coming on our next container, going to all the surf shops. But I do have a nice, beautiful rash guard. One of our, world-renowned leashes. They're probably the most durable leashes in the world. We're the only ones that have a 9mm thick cord. So like if you get one of these leashes with the coil, it kind of doesn't break. Not good for sales, but it'll last. It lasts you forever. Kind of like we make stuff that lasts. Might be detrimental to our company, but it's just
It's ethical.
we gotta approve it.
Yeah.
If I'm not using it, then. And then our Deluxe Fin Tethers, which make sure you kind of never lose your fins if you have those on. I haven't lost a fin in years, maybe decades with using those things.
And a rash guard.
And a rash guard, and some stickers.
Yeah, some awesome stuff. So go check them out and stay tuned for, when you're listening to this, I guess the giveaway is already up because the podcast will be up. So make sure you go check it out. And mahalo to Jeff and Hubboards for providing this awesome giveaway for the people.
Help.
All right, so now I want to talk about your company. First of all, I feel like you're kind of destined to own this company because of your name. I don't know how it just worked out like that, right? I love puns, so that's why I'm just super stoked on this. You and Dave owning this company. Yes. So how did it start?
Well, it's so funny with the name correlation, Hubboards. Like I remember just one of my friends, Mike Latronic, he runs the Free Surf magazines, and he did H3O. So he's been in the industry forever. So he's, the surfing industry, and he's like, man, they just call boogie boarding Hubboarding already. They just like, you guys just own it.
Taking over, right? Drop knee, pro, and everything.
And it's just like, Hubboarding. Oh yeah, Hubboards. Okay. It just like fully stuck with me, and so I knew exactly what I was going to call the company when we launched it, and so that was pretty special. Mm-hmm. So it was a fun, kind of those things that just come around naturally. Like, that works perfectly. Yeah. We'll do that.
Yeah, it kind of just like fell into place. Like you really it was your destiny, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So before this, we were I heard you talking about like how boards are made.
Right.
And the different material and everything. So can you go into that a little bit?
Yes. So I mean, when you own a bodyboard company, you definitely have to know how they're made and know how to make them and know exactly how to make the best stuff. Like so that's was pretty important to me. Being in the industry for so long, I made sure I've worked to like figure out how to make the best boards that worked for me. So like I knew that if this thing was working for me, it was going to work for everyone, right? That was kind of the vibe that I had with that even my brother and I both had with our whole company is like, hey, if it's good enough for us, it'll be good enough for everyone else. Mm-hmm. So this is why we designed everything ourselves and work on everything ourselves to be of the highest quality, so that we know it's going to be used in like the best way possible. Mm-hmm. So some of with bodyboards, there's so many different types of bodyboards, right? There's like really cheap entry level stuff.
The Waikiki
tourist ones you see at
the local
ABC.
Brada one to the professional.
Right? You got like the ABC store boogie boards. You got your Costco boogie boards. You got then you got your kind of your entry level boogie boards like you see at the surf shops, and your like highest level bodyboards that you can get at bodyboard shops, specific shops. So it's like really, really cool spectrum, and it spans like the whole price range, like $5-10 from the real cheap ones that are worthless to like top of the line, almost $400 bodyboards that are just that'll just take you to the moon basically. And it'll last for a really long time. So it's really cool that there is that spectrum that allows people just to access the water. I mean, it is cool to be able to access the water on these crafts at such a different price range and get into the sport at any level.
How much of a difference do different boards make, though?
It a lot. So the cores are material that work to build each board are vastly different from those those ABC Costco models boards to all the way to the high end boards. It's a whole different process. The top end ones are handmade. They're really finely crafted with specific kind of engineering templates. Trying hardcore like CNC machines, just dialing in every little detail to make it just perfect, right? So you buy one of those boards, you're gonna have this craft that'll is designed just to, with the most projection and recoil and, the best speed line possible for what you want to do. And the templates for bodyboards kind of vary. So my bodyboard, it looks different than my brother's. He likes to drop knee and stand up as well. And, my template is also different from one of our team rider friends, Jared Houston. His board's a little different shape. So everyone has, so we have, there's a lot of different shapes out there, kind of corresponding to how people ride. So it's pretty cool, and you kind of can generally find the best board for you depending on what you want to ride and how you want to, how you're riding. If you're, just a weekend warrior, or you want to have a board that's just going to perform amazing. You just have the best time on, and you can do anything you want on it. That's, you can kind of look for that and find whatever you want with our brand, which is really cool.
So what makes a good bodyboard isn't necessarily like the buoyancy or like, I don't know, certain materials, but it's whatever fits for you, whatever you want to do with the board.
I'd say, well, the materials have a lot to do with it. So the high-end materials, we're using, the highest quality sirloin, with the most volume there of, most thickness of sirloin, so you get the most attributes. You have mesh, which is like a suspension thing that gives you real good flex. Not as much for flex, but it's more for projection, right? It adds this tension to the board, and then you have this cores, kind of like with polypropylene, so it's a real kind of dynamic core that has a really good strength to weight ratio, and some recoil properties that in memory. So that's really good. And then you have different deck densities of PE deck. So and you have double rails, and you have all these concaves on the bottom. We have Sci-5 channels. We have stringer systems with carbon fiber stringer rods in there. So it's it's a pretty intense.
Yeah, it does not sound as simple as just throwing a couple, like, I don't know, layers of something on and some foam, and then boom, you have a bodyboard. It sounds very complicated.
Right, and they're all heat. The top end ones are all real heat laminated, right? So it's all laminated together by heat. So it's all melted together. So it has a really, great characteristics to like do exactly what you want on the board. So I mean, but then as you slowly get down in price point, you can get different core materials that are not as expensive, and that still offer fun beginners. Some beginners aren't going to need to go on crazy big waves. They just want to just ride and have fun and just go straight and do turns, and they're maybe not looking for speed. They're just looking for control. So there's a softer core called a PE core that you can add in there. You use instead of a polypro or polypro core. Or then if you get even down to like the Costco kind of level boards, or like it's kind of an EPS core. It's more of a styrofoam based core, so it's a really light, and it's definitely not durable. It's just going to kind of break on you. So it's like there's all these different levels, right? So it's interesting. And then with some of our boards, I designed this core called the quad core, where you're taking layers, you're layering up the cores of the polypropylene, and you're adding some suspension layers inside of mesh inside the board, so it creates a really good recoil, and lasts a lot longer, and you have really dynamic projection. So that's kind of something that we're the only ones that do that, and so it's really something unique that makes the boards last a lot longer. And it's why they're some of our boards are priced a little higher than other brands, is because we have that that extra layer of technology in there that makes them last longer. They're more sustainable, and then they work even better. Like I just won't ride a different board than like the stuff I'm like, okay, I can only ride this board. It makes it so much different than the other boards. It's cool.
Well, and I like how you make it. Your approach to making these is so that they last long. So you're paying for the quality.
Exactly.
And that's what people have to realize when they pay up for certain things, especially local brands. You're paying, one, to support the local business, and one, to pay for higher quality handmade stuff, whatever it may be. There's like another layer of something that you're spending, but so these other like Costco boards and the ABC store boards, they're really made just to be broken and to be bought again, right?
Right. So
how do you feel about that?
Well, the boards you find at like some of the ABC stores, and you'd even see them in like Foodland or some areas like Kmart or Walmart and stuff, and Target, stuff like that. They're like this cooked EPS they cook it in this mold with this fiber around it. It's just like a real disposable kind of bodyboard. It's like $5-10 at the surf shop. And they're not even at surf shops, thank God. But they're just they're at all these other, supermarkets basically, and the tourists buy them and then they just break them and they just go in the trash, which is just such a shame. I know Maui just outlawed them, these fiberclad bodyboards. So that's really great that there's like some sort of initiative to stop these really cheap boards from being produced and just ending up in the landfill. There's, especially when there's really great alternatives for products that will last you decades, right? So if you're hoping that that evolution of the consumerism can find the way to like, hey, it's a little bit more expensive, but it's not going to detriment the planet as much when you have nothing human made is really probably good for the planet, but there's just a fine balance, and it's just the world we live in.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it'd be great if some of these really cheap things weren't available as prevalent and utilized. So they just are more like a disposable. It's like a disposable plastic, just kind of going, one use single plastic. It's basically single use.
Exactly.
Kind of vibes where it's just not healthy.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And we live in this society where we have this cradle to grave culture, where it's just like you make it and then you throw it away and then you buy something else. So same with even like iPhones, right? You buy it and then we upgrade. You buy one, then another upgrade comes up. So we live in this consumer society where it's just like, okay, you gotta keep buying new things. And then what do we do with the old things? Because they're not meant to be broken, they're meant to be wasted, but how do we get rid of them ethically, right? I'm reading this book called Cradle to Cradle. I don't know if you ever heard about it, but it talks about stuff like that, how things are made just so that they can be broken and bought again.
Right.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting. You could have a whole show on that, right? Like everything you kind of touch and make, it's like there's got to be an end use, for it.
Yeah, or some sort of way to upcycle, or not so much recycle, but to like.
The cool thing with high-end bodyboards is that they last. And you'll see them being sold in garage sales and like old surfboards, right? They never really find
it as a table, a coffee table.
Yeah, or it can be used for so many different, for so long by so many different people. Like if it's not good enough for the user, it uses its life cycle for one user, it can find its way down to someone else who doesn't need it to be as as fresh as maybe it's all buckled and creased, and the stringer's broken and the core is all kind of buckled, but it's still intact, so that someone can go access it in the ocean and ride waves with it in some other form, right? They're not needing to go surf it at pipe. They can just take it out at Sherwood's and just have a blast on it and still smile, whatever. Right? They're still going to get some use out of it.
Yeah, wouldn't it be cool if there was like a shop, or maybe I don't know, the ABC store or somewhere else, they had a section, where it's like Goodwill. You can just donate stuff. Yeah. Maybe people donated their old bodyboarder, bodyboards, so that these tourists coming to Hawaii can just pick these up and use it instead of buying new cheap boards and just creating more waste.
Exactly. Like even rentals. Like, hey, if they just did
rentals,
just having a
$5
good board rentals, right? Yeah. They do that with some type of bodyboard programs. It's like some places rent stuff out that lasts pretty long, which is what you kind of need to get geared towards.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they have some Hubboards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the guys will be ripping out there.
Yeah, that's first time everybody will just fly.
Oh, it's going so fast.
Wow, that's crazy. Awesome. So, what are you up to? Oh, actually, where can we find the Hubboards?
You can find them at kind of all the local surf shops here. You can TNC, HIC, and 662. 662 is a bodyboard specific specialty shop it's in McCully, and then TNC.
Right at the shopping center.
Yeah, and TNC Bodyboards, TNC Bodyboard, you can find them at all the TNC locations, all the Hubboards there. So that's great. And HIC, they have a lot of locations as well. So those are great ones. And then like Miller Surf, Foam Co. on Kaua'i, there's a bunch of, Nuke Moi, Poipu Surf, Moa, Ukulele, Style Surf. I mean, there's a lot of cool surf shops all around Hawaii that, carry our products.
Awesome.
It's really great.
Cool. So what are you up to these days?
These days it's the holidays right now. So I'm just getting ready to we have a container coming in, so I'm just trying to get ready for that. Unload. Hopefully, it comes in the next couple of days. Can unload and get in all the surf shops before Christmas, so everyone can get all their Christmas stuff. And so,
awesome.
Just working on that and just trying to boogie board the waves for the winter season and
getting ready for the comps.
Yeah, having fun with the family during getting our Christmas vibes on.
Cool. What do you usually do for Christmas? What's your tradition or a New Year's?
Yeah, it's mostly just family. Just like anything in Hawaii, you're just cruising with family. Yep. It's just that's the vibe. It's all family oriented here in Hawaii. So we're just hanging with Ohana.
Thing. Yeah,
just kick it. Whatever the family's doing, and we're doing it together.
I love that. Super awesome. So, what do you think is the most important thing bodyboarding has taught you?
It's really good. That's a great question. It's taught me so much. I think. Maybe the most important thing is you're not in control, right? There's something else out there. Even if you think you're in control, you're not. So that's, if you can realize that and kind of let go and just be mindful of that and be present and understand that, you're not in control. There's something else going on in the universe or whatever you believe in, God or whatever. There's something else out there that's controlling you, controlling what's happening in the world. So you just got to be mindful of that. And you do what you want to do, but at the end of the day, it's not in your hands.
Yeah, that's a really good thing to think about, because I think control is almost like this illusion that we have, and it seems so tangible, like we can just grab it, but it really, as the older you get, you kind of just realize, right? It's there's so many things we can't control. Like we can control the way we react to things, we can control the way we do these other things, but
the way we feel, that's about it.
Feel,
that's about it.
Yeah,
control the way you feel and react, but that's not much you can do. You can't control what happens to you, what's happening around you.
Yeah. So when you're on a wave, what's the gnarliest thing that has ever happened to you that was, you're thinking oh man, I'm gonna get hurt or something bad's gonna happen?
I mean, riding waves, there's always, I've ridden so many waves. I've gotten hurt. I've gotten hurt a bunch for sure. Big waves, scary. Getting caught inside by huge waves. That's just, you have no control. Sometimes it's just you have to laugh and just try and relax so much.
Hold your breath.
Yeah, those big waves. There's nothing you can do but just relax and just be try and be mindful to go with that basic instinct just to survive. Okay, how do I do this? Just just relax and not use as much oxygen and go to those primal instincts. And then some places, you're underwater and you just hit the reef and you do a big move and you hit your board and your body tweaks in a certain way. You're it's one of those things you don't have the control at that point, and you just have to let go and just okay, hopefully I can, hopefully I'm going to be okay. Hopefully someone, can rescue me if you got really injured, or, hopefully I'll be able to heal up. How am I going to get better from this injury, or how am I going to, get back in the water? If you get really hurt.
Yeah. What's the worst thing that has happened to you? Did you have any near-death experiences?
No, been really, you always get wiped out at pipe, and it's pretty heavy, right? Pipes, a huge pipe, you can get held under for a long time and rolled and hit the bottom, and it's heavy. You can hit your head. That's not good. Hit my head once, kind of blacked out, but came back pretty.
That's crazy.
That was in a contest, I think once. Got a couple staples in the head. I think I broke some some transverse processor vertebrae, hitting the rocks.
So casually.
And he's broke some ribs before landing some moves, or getting hit. You hit some. You get hit by other boards in the ocean, like there's surfboards or wave skis out there, whatever, you can get hit, and so that can hurt. So, I mean, if you're in the water long enough, things just gonna happen to you. But, let's not, it's the water's it's so enjoyable. I'll still just want to get back out there. It's nothing like, right? It's usually like there's nothing like it. And you can't replace the feelings you get when you're out there. Enjoying yourself. And you only if you're putting yourself, the more, more hectic the situations you're putting yourself into, then, those things can happen. Otherwise, if you're just, enjoying yourself in a certain, the circumstances lessen. So you wouldn't find yourself in those precarious positions.
It's awesome. That's to be in those situations. I don't even know what I do, but I know I'd get through them. I just have to stay calm and remember that.
Exactly. It's all mental.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of mental toughness. Yeah. Okay. All right. So last question, and then we'll start to wrap up. Like, what would you want the keiki to learn from you? The future generation to take away from like Jeff Hubbard, like your legacy that you're gonna leave.
I guess just that being positive, having fun. I think that's at the core of what I'd like to represent to the kids and with anything, whether they're whatever they do in life. Just have make sure you're having fun and being positive and not being don't get too overwhelmed with it. And I think it's a good lesson to be be positive. Always look at things half full, and I think always learning is always a positive aspect. You can always learn doing anything as long as you realize you don't know everything, and you can keep learning and keep growing as an individual. I think those are important things to take away in life.
What is something new that you learned in your later years of life?
Oh gosh, it's you're still. I mean, you're learning every day, trying to everything you when you don't control, you're not in control. You're just trying to always react and learn.
Even with being a father, right?
Yeah, being a father, right? Those relationships, those are very important. You have to learn to be better at those every day. And with your kids, you're trying to learn to be a father. That's not. There's no instruction manual for that. So you're just trying to learn on a day-to-day basis and do your best, right? I guess you're learning to do your best and try and be better, be a better version of yourself every day. That's an important thing if you can kind of stay grounded to do that.
Yeah, awesome, super cool. So I'm just wondering off the top of my head, like what are some local businesses that you like, some local food spots that you like to support?
Yeah, that's great. I love, I'm pretty into the Sunrise Shack. My friend Travis owns that. I like going, and
that's on the North Shore.
They have a bunch on the North Shore. They have one in Waikiki. I think there's one in Kailua opening up. Maybe one in Ala Moana coming soon, maybe. But they have nice healthy food. It's really really good. And I'm into coffee a little bit. The more business I get to be doing, I need a little bit more like energy boost, right? Like, so it helps. And then always just trying to be nutritious. Eat clean. So I'll try and there's a lot of really good food spots on the island. There's too many to name.
What's your go-to? Like maybe it's an acai bowl, maybe it's a salad, maybe it's chicken katsu.
And that's what's great about life. There's so many choices.
The paradox of choices, though. When there's too many, you're unhappy.
You can get Mexican's pretty good. There's some really good Mexican places out where I live in Ava Beach, so that's pretty cool.
I feel like anybody from like California or whatever, they're just like, no way, Hawaii doesn't have good Mexican food.
Yeah, they do actually. You'd be
you just
surprised.
Gotta find the right places. Right?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that have come over from California and Mexico, and they live here and they cook some mean Mexican food now, so that's good. Obviously, fresh fish. Paia Fish Market's pretty mental.
I love it. They're on Hawaiiverse.
Yeah. Paia Fish Market's awesome.
Magno, he's a bodyboarder. Yeah. He's a bodyboarder.
Yeah, there's some of my favorite. If I'm gonna eat, if I had a choice where to eat a nice dinner, that'd be right at the top of the list. It's so laid back, and it's good food.
Yeah,
and it's real healthy, which is cool. It feels fresh, right? They get a nice focus on their freshness.
Yeah,
so it's good.
Just healthy and fresh, just like our drinks from Shaka Tea.
The Shaka Tea Hawaii.
What do you think of it?
It's awesome. This pineapple mint's so delicious.
Yeah, well, we're sending you home with a whole case of it.
So pumped.
And we got our immunity shots too. We took one before this. Zinc, B12, vitamin C, vitamin E. Make sure you get the vitamin D by going in the sun, bodyboarding, surfing, whatever, just chilling on the beach.
Having fun.
Yeah. Checking out the waves. Wink, wink. So anything else you want to talk about or add before we wrap up?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me. I'm just stoked to be able to just share share the boogie vibes, stoke with you, everybody.
Yeah, it was fun boogieing with you.
Yeah, no, this was awesome. I'm just really, really blessed.
Yeah, well, mahalo for sharing your story and your stoke and your positivity. I think it comes off just from talking to you, you know, like as soon as I met you at the elevator downstairs, I could just tell this guy is positive vibes. He's a good time. So just mahalo for sharing that with the listeners today and myself. You know, you're a legend, and I got to meet you. So
thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So where can we find you? What's your socials?
My socials JD Hub at that's on Instagram, and then we'll have, I guess, probably the same on Facebook. I'm pretty sure. I think
just Google
them, and then Hubboards.com. You know, we got that's our website, Hubboards.com. Find all your favorite Hubboards products there, and then Hubboards on Instagram as well. Okay,
awesome. And last question for me. Where's your favorite secret surf spot?
Ooh, secret surf spot. I cannot tell. No,
I almost got
me. No, so there's quite a few, but I think when I was young, it was funny. When I was going to college, I was always going out to Diamond Head with my friends because it is, there's a couple spots in around Diamond Head that there's not too many people. Right, so you can kind of go and find it's all windy and kind of cab. It's not like the best ways, but it's you can go find a spot by yourself.
Kaua'i.
You can kind of
just use that word.
You can kind of find a spot by yourself, and being from an outer island, I'd enjoy going out in the ocean with less people. So it's kind of cool, finding whatever spot, if you get it with a couple friends, or just sometimes you get moments of solace over here, even on the busy island of Oahu. It's cool.
I totally agree. Right on. Well, mahalo, Jeff, for joining us on the Hawaiiverse podcast. Check us out on Hawaiiverse.com, the best place to support locals. Spread aloha, be kind to one another, and mahalo for listening to us today. New episodes every Thursday, so make sure you follow us and leave a review. I'm your host, Kamaka, and you'll hear me next time on the Hawaiiverse podcast. Ahui ho.